Hey guys, so today I'm going to talk to you about vehicle texturing, what it takes to texture vehicles. Let me turn off X-ray mode for a moment. And the one thing about these vehicles, they're very low poly, so this is game oriented, these three. Now if you're getting into film and you're wanting to texture map vehicles, sci-fi, whatever, your poly count's probably going to be a little bit higher. That's okay. I like to work low poly and then, and then eventually take things to high because you want to get a good silhouette. But don't freak out if certain things that I relate in this video, you might say, oh, I don't understand because I want to get in movies. Some of the basic principles I'm going to be talking about today are the same, so don't worry so much about that. But I'm going to show you some quick ways we can get this done. I'm going to show you several different ways in which you can tackle to actually build a better UV unwrapped vehicle as well as texture it. Now, first up, what you can do is select the area that you want to isolate. And that's nice because vehicles are actually built in sections. There's the top, there's the door, there's the hood, there's the back trunk. And we can select it that way. And we can also when you select, if you're not using backface culling at all, make sure you switch to X-ray so you can see if you got anything else selected in there. Okay, kind of helpful, kind of important. I know that these pieces are all in the same. Now, for those that are maybe using this file that I'm giving out, what you also want to do is also separate your pieces too. So we're going to do that in just a second. But I know that this part and this part are all kind of in the same area. And we can go in here now, and we can go to Create a Quick Selection Set. Under Create, now the Quick Selection Set is going to allow us to actually isolate and grab certain parts of the car, and it will remember it for us. So I don't have to go back and reselect it over and over and over again if I mess up. So this quick selection set, you can also grab them here under Edit once you've made them, and you go to Quick Selection Set, and there we go, the new top. Now this is an older one. If you made a couple on accident because you missed it, like this one, I messed up. I had an extra poly. You can also go to the relationship editors, and you can go in here under Sets, and you can actually delete some of the quick selection sets that you don't want. Okay, so we have our car here. We have a quick selection set for him. Nice. So what we want to do is do a planar map on this guy. Now, the tricky thing about planar map is Maya's going to try to figure out what's the best angle based on all these curves in here and shape dynamics and try to give you the best possible projection. Now, sometimes I can get a little wonky. So I go to Create UVs, Planar Map. You'll notice a little bit askew. So it's trying to figure out, based on what I've selected, what's the best possible angle to average out. So you can fix this. And a lot of times it's a lot easier to fix it here than in the UV Texture Editor. And the reason why, if I go in the UV Texture Editor, you can rotate it, but you won't see too much change in those angles. And you kind of want to see a little bit more of a change in the projection. So if I click here, on that little L, red L, you can hit plus or minus to get a larger work area. I can go in here and maybe go in here and rotate, and you'll see the angle at the bottom of my screen. You'll see the change adjust itself so it isn't so warped. Pretty cool, huh? So that's the best way to approach that. Look at that, it's kind of nice. Nice and equaled out. It's evenly scaled. Probably could be moved maybe a little bit more. Pretty good. So that's one way you can approach it. We can do every single piece of the car and do it in sections. We can do the other door, name it door. The only thing you have to watch out, if your texture carries over, like maybe you want rust or a stain to carry over, even decals, you have to make sure that all the UVs are scaled at the same size. And what you can do to test that out in the beginning is checkerboard. Use a checkerboard like the one I gave you guys in class a while back. And you can use that to make sure that all the pattern is of the same scale, and having the checkers with the numbers like I gave out, that allows you to see if there's any actual warping on any particular details. That's the only thing about using the checkerboard. You might think you have everything like the black and white one, everything all fine, but you'll notice that when you put your texture on, there's still some warping going on. So having the numbers and the gradient one that I gave out is a better way to go than Maya's default checkerboard. Okay, so we can do this all in sections. That's really nice. And again, the thing you have to watch out for is scale. Now, when you are unwrapping, though, I have to mention this, and particularly with this model, you have to make sure that all the pieces are separate. Overlapping geometry can be kind of a pain. So what you can do in the beginning, you go to Mesh, and we can go to Separate. And what Maya is going to do is give me separate objects for everything that is separate. And that makes it so much easier to texture map. And besides, this is going to have moving parts, right? That's going to move, this is going to move. And if you wanted to, we could even make the headlight right out of the geometry itself, which would optimize this a little bit more. And that's pretty much up to you there. But this keeps it separate, and then you can go back in here and combine what you want to keep together. Now, the only thing you have to watch out for when you do that is remove the polys that aren't needed. You notice nobody's going to see this, the player's not going to see this, nobody's going to care. But I always get nervous when you shove things into stuff, so you got to be careful because you have to align that texture map with that object. You have to keep those things in mind if you decide to work with a model like that. Okay? So once it's separate, you can use a thing called automatic map. Now, I showed you how we can planar map each individual area. This one, on the top, on the back end, the doors, the side, all that stuff. But we can also do automatic map. So we can go in here and go to create UVs, automatic map, and we can get some pieces that will really be helpful. I can go even higher if you wanted to 8, and we can say apply. It's going to put them all into the square. See the settings there? Alright. And I don't use Maya's quick selection set. We can keep it at 512 if we want to, or even 1024. Keep it low since that's low poly. I don't really use Maya's quick selection, not quick selection sets, I shouldn't say, UV sets, because sometimes they're broken, and you try to attach them or you try to go back and connect different UV sets. Sometimes it can air out. And a lot of this can be part of it because of the history that you might have on top of it. And part of it too is that Maya can just get a little confused, especially if you jump from graphics card to another graphics card. Some of them handle it good, some of them do not handle it good. So what I do is I completely stay away from it, and I don't use it. You're more than welcome to play with it if you want to, but I don't use UV sets very often. In Maya, they're a little bit weak. In XSI, they're a lot stronger. So we go to Project, and then now we can go look at our UV set we got here, how it's divided it up. Now you'll notice that this one's all over the place, right? This is the disadvantage of having 8. 8 kind of shattered it. If we look at this guy, you'll see if it was a sci-fi vehicle and had more sides, 8 might be appropriate. But he's kind of like a box logically. He has a side here, one side. You can include the windshield and the front is number 2, the top number 3, and that's all the top. Number 4 this side, number 5, and on the bottom number 6. So 6 would be appropriate instead of 8. So if he was more of a sci-fi vehicle, and you could see that, so you can see the difference there. So let's go back and try that again. So we can go back in here, create UVs, go to automatic map, and the nice thing about automatic map, it's going to scale some of these nicely. So I go in here and I hit project. You can take a look at this. The only problem is it's going to shatter a few things that you need to go in here and do cleanup. Basically damage control. So look at that. That's actually pretty good. It's got some nice pieces here, but there are some areas where pieces are just kind of floating around, right? So let's find out where they're at. And the nice thing about working with Maya and selecting it, I can hit the F key to fit that into view, and I can find out exactly where those areas are at, and it looks like that is the wheel well. Alright? Now, areas that aren't as important, you can probably shrink down. Nobody's going to see the wheel well so much. You can probably have those UVs have less. But the one thing you do have to keep in mind is that every part of this car, and the nice thing about the automatic map, it keeps it kind of universal in scale. Again, if you have a texture running from the hood going to the side of the car, it needs to be the same scale. If you have maybe some oil that came out of this old car and over here to this side, and maybe it runs down to the other side, they need to be the same scale. Okay, so you can weld where you need to weld. You can make them connected where you need them. But one thing's for sure: what the player or the person watching your animation is going to see, that's the most important. That's what you need to concentrate on. That needs to have the higher resolution. It goes the same thing with movies as games. Anything the player, anything the person watching your movie is going to see most needs to have more attention to, higher quality texturing, and so forth. So from here, we can even, now the person watching our video or watching our game is not going to be able to see the bottom very much. So I can go to Select Shell, or I can use the Select Shell tool, which is found right here in between these two guys. This one's a lattice, this one's a smooth UV, which is really awesome. And I can scale that. So all the normal tools in Maya that I have to work with, I can work with this guy and scale that down. Nobody cares about that part unless I'm going to have an animation or the car has maybe been turned over by zombies, I can leave that the same scale. Otherwise, I can shrink that down and maybe make some room for some more of these other details. Same thing goes with the wheel well. No one's going to see these areas, right? So select shell, and I can find out where that's at. So make sure I'm not distracted where that piece is at. See, it's all the wheel well parts, right? Isn't that nice? That automatic map grabbed those guys. So we can go in here and I can scale that down, move it out of the way. There we go. Not too bad. No one cares about that. Kind of following along so far? So it's pretty easy stuff. Now the one thing that people get confused when they are unwrapping is exactly what am I looking at? Where am I? What part is the top? What part is the bottom? I'm going to show you how you can go about doing that on your piece of geometry. Now first you do want to make sure that all your UVs are laid out and everything's looking good. So let's go and add that texture in here. And let's actually edit, delete by type. You do want to make sure you clean your history periodically as you work. Keep things very simple. Let's go to blend. That's the one we're working with. So let's go and grab the UVs for it. We'll just go to an earlier class one. There we go. I think this guy should be good. There we go. And hit the 6 key so we can display it. So we can actually look at our UVs. And overall it's not too bad. Now there are some scale issues on some of the other stuff. On the bottom, we don't have to worry about it so much. Okay? Look at that. Pretty cool. But say you're lost and you're not sure, dude, what part is the top? I say you're ready to export. I don't know what part of the top is. I'm not sure what this is at. I got to figure out where all this is at. What you can do, and I showed you guys this a while back, but just a reminder, I can go in here, go to my render editor, just go to the hypershade, pull the hypershade up. And again, you have to make sure your history's make sure that your history is deleted. I can shift select, I'll grab the geometry, shift select, my material can't talk, and go to convert file texture software. I don't need a big shadows in this one. Don't need really group lighting. What we can do is set the resolution. I think we originally had 512, so we can do 512 again, no big deal. It's pretty 64, right? If you want, you can also do 1024. It's a little more PlayStation 2. I knew because we worked on a race game and all of our textures on the cars were 1024, and the reason why is because those are the things that were in front of the player's eyes. Those that needed to have high resolution. So now we go to convert and close. So what I'm doing is I'm allowing myself to actually paint on this model so I can keep track of everything that's on here. And let me show you what I'm talking about. So I'm going to switch this to rendering. This is once I get all my UVs laid out. And we can go in here. And we can go to our texturing 3D paint tool. Double click on it. And to make it visual for us, I'm going to make it red. So I can say now, lower my brush size a little bit. I can say, hey man, this is the top. Okay. If you want, we can say the top, but that's also the hood. This is also top, maybe it's the cabin. I don't know. And back here we can say this is the trunk. So we can do something like maybe T and an R. And as you paint, you can also tell Maya to save on stroke, which is really helpful. We can say this is the side. We can say that's the right side. Side right. And this is side left. Alright. You can say this is the front. I probably need to lower my brush size a little bit. The worst F you've ever seen. And this is the butt. Okay, worst B ever. Alright, so you guys kind of get an idea. So what happens is Maya, if we go into My Documents here, we go into Maya, we go into Projects, I believe it's in my Atomica project. We can go 3D Paint Effects, Car Template, and you'll see that I have a Targa here. And if I go in here and open this up in Photoshop, you'll notice that I will have a paint object. Now, I got a lot of things open. I'm going to try opening Photoshop, and you can see what I'm talking about. So, you'll see the UVs are all set and ready to go. Now, if I open this in Photoshop, you'll see it all laid out, but let me show you a quicker way we can do it. We can also create a UV set. So, create PSD network. Or not UV set, but create PSD network. Open that up. Select the color, move it over, and looks like we're all ready to go. You can hit apply. Let me put it in a certain area. You can kind of follow along what I'm doing. I'll just put it on the desktop for now. A lot of other lectures on there too. And hit set. And say create. So now we can reapply our old material on here, so we don't have to keep that crap on there. So I can go in here and just say, you know what, I'm going to disconnect, go to object mode, I'm going to disconnect that from my guy. And you can do that anytime. You can just reapply it as long as your UVs are correct. So with that in motion, I'm going to close this temporarily, get a little more memory for Photoshop. I'm going to open up Photoshop. Behold Maya, Camtasia, Word, in Photoshop. Who will win the ultimate battle? Sorry, playing too many video games. So let's see if it opens up for us. Come on, Snake Eyes. No crashing. No crashy crashy. Dun, dun, dun. It's a little chuggy. Got a lot going on. Camtasia is a big memory hog. I don't know if you guys ever use it. If you decide to be a teacher in the future, I like it. It's a great tool for demoing stuff. Not good for if you make a level and you try to show it off, because it is a memory hog. Some people will have like a awesome computer can run it, but other people might run into trouble. So let's go ahead and open up what we need to open up. Give it a moment here. There we go. Open. See my graphics card and computer working really hard right now. There you go, car sample. Hey! So it has our UVs in here, has a UV snapshot so you can turn on and off, and also shows the textures where everything's at. Pretty cool, huh? So we can put this on a ghosted layer or even make it a little more transparent. And we can see that's the top, that's the bottom, all that. It's really cool, huh? And it doesn't have to be our texture. We can still paint our texture. But this guy would tell us what we're looking at. Pretty cool. So hopefully that gets you guys started on how to start unwrapping a car. In class, I'll show you guys how to paint it, how to add the detail. You can use photos, but you won't always have the photos that you want. So I can show you how we can actually get them to come to life, creating a spec map. And creating a spec map is actually easier than it sounds. You'll make a black and white, even gray area on a map, like on the UV set. So we got this UV set here. I can make a little bit of white here, a little bit of gray maybe on the top, maybe it's dirtier. And what you'll do is you load that within your specular channel. It's pretty cool. See that incentricity right there? This guy, we can load our spec map in there, right in that channel right there. So that's kind of cool. So we're going to get more into that in class and how to hands-on paint this. And I'll give you guys like maybe a week or so to get one of these done. You can do a sci-fi vehicle if you want to. I don't really care. And all right, that's about it. Ta-ta.